All right, let's dive into the WBBL clash between the Melbourne Renegades and the Perth Scorchers. You know, fantasy success here isn't about luck. It's about having a clear, data-driven plan. And that's exactly what we're going to build right now, focusing on what's happening today, not on old reputations.
Okay, the whole strategy for this game, it really starts right here. It's all about one core conflict, the Renegades' momentum going up against the Scorchers' inconsistency. If you can get this part right, your fantasy team is already halfway to a win. So on one side, you've got the Melbourne Renegades. This is a team that's really starting to click. They're playing with a clear structure, they're building some serious momentum. And then you've got the Perth Scorchers, a team that's absolutely loaded with superstars, but they just seem stuck in this frustrating win one, lose one cycle, especially when they're trying to chase down a total.
And this brings us to a really critical rule for this match. You have to ignore the old head-to-head records. Seriously, Perth might have had the edge in past seasons, but the current dynamics, they tell a completely different story. Our focus has to be on what's happening right now, and right now, the data is pointing very clearly towards the Renegades.
Okay, so now let's layer in the venue. Understanding the conditions at Junction Oval is the next key piece of our puzzle, because the ground itself gives us so many clues on how to structure our fantasy team.
So this pitch, it's definitely good for batting, but it's not a complete road. It's a little bit on the slower side, which means bowlers who have good variations, they can really cause some problems. And crucially, it seems to slightly favor the team batting second. Oh, and those short square boundaries? That is a massive green light for powerful front foot players.
And that average first inning score of around 147? That number gives us a perfect benchmark. It tells us we're not building a team for a 180-run shootout, but we're also not expecting a super low-scoring scrap. We're targeting players who will thrive in a contest where this kind of total is defendable, but also totally gettable. So here's the bottom line on the venue. Build your team expecting a total somewhere in that 145 to 160 range. And just remember, the team chasing has a slight but pretty significant advantage here.
All right, we've got the venue down. Now it's time to put the teams themselves on trial. This head-to-head breakdown is going to pinpoint exactly where those precious fantasy points are most likely to come from.
I mean, the contrast here is pretty stark, right? The Renegades are just riding this wave of good form, and it's being driven by the incredible all-round game of Wareham and Molineux. Plus, their bowling attack is super adaptable. The Scorchers, on the other hand, are just unpredictable. They depend so heavily on the individual brilliance of their stars, Mooney and Devine with the bat, and then Egger and King with the ball. That dependency, that's a potential weak spot.
And this leads us to a massive tactical advantage. The Renegade spin attack, especially Sophie Molineux, has historically had the number of Perth top order. And guess what? That matchup advantage is just as potent today. It could be the thing that decides the game in those middle overs.
Okay, let's zoom in on the players who are really set to be the deciding factors in this match, and more importantly for us, for our fantasy teams.
First up, Georgia Wareham. Honestly, she's arguably the most valuable fantasy player in this entire match. Why? Simple. She offers guaranteed points in every single part of the game. She'll bowl her 4 overs, she's got the power to clear the fence batting in the middle order, and she's a dynamo in the field. That kind of 360-degree impact is just unmatched.
Now for the Scorchers, Beth Mooney is without a doubt world-class. On her day, she can post a huge score and single-handedly win you a fantasy contest. But her recent form has shown she's human, with a few uncharacteristic early dismissals. She's the ultimate high-ceiling pick, but you just have to accept that there's some real risk that comes with her right now.
Sophie Molineux, she is just a fantastic blend of consistency and favorable conditions. She has a great record at Junction Oval, and more importantly, she just has this knack for taking key wickets right when her team needs them, especially against this Scorchers lineup. She's just a reliable source of points.
Look, if the Scorchers are going to do some damage with the ball, it is almost certainly going to be Amy Edgar leading the charge. She is their most potent, in-form wicket taker right now, and she often bowls those tough overs at the death where wickets are just waiting to be taken.
And finally, we have Alice Capsey. She is the definition of a high-risk, high-reward fantasy player. I mean, she can win you a contest in 20 minutes with a quick-fire 40 and a couple of wickets, or she can be out for a duck. But that explosive, game-changing potential makes her a super tempting, even if volatile pick for any lineup.
All right, we've broken down the teams, we've analyzed the venue, and we've put the key players under the microscope. So let's put it all together and build our final winning fantasy blueprint.
So, our team-building strategy follows a pretty simple three-step logic. First, we load up on all-rounders. Their ability to score points with both bat and ball is just priceless on a pitch like this. Second, we make sure to select at least one reliable batting anchor for those consistent points. And third, we choose multi-skilled bowlers who can make an impact at any stage of the innings.
So, the big question is, how does this three-step strategy actually translate into the perfect 11-player lineup? Let's take a look at where all this analysis has led us.
And here it is, our final blueprint. Georgia Wareham is the no-brainer captain. She's the highest impact player in this game, period. Sophie Molineux is right there with her thanks to that crucial matchup advantage. We've given Beth Mooney the vice-captaincy. We're acknowledging her massive ceiling while just hedging our bets a little. And you can see how the rest of the structure falls into place. Our other all-rounders are Devine and Capsey. Our anchor is Courtney Webb. And our strike bowler from Perth is Amy Edgar. We round it out with high-impact power from Dotton, some new ball fire from Wong, and a smart differential pick in Maddie Dark to try and separate from the pack.
So, there you have it. The blueprint is locked in. It's a strategy driven by data, designed to maximize points based on form, matchups, and the conditions on the day. The only question left is, will the Renegades' momentum prove to be too strong? Or will one of the Scorchers' superstars produce a moment of magic and just tear up the entire script? We'll have to wait and see.